what she suggests is that we just, if we're going to do this, that we be serious about it and we keep up training in between so that people feel a connection. The chief has designated a sergeant who's going to be responsible for this. I'm going to be contacting him. I wanted to speak to the CERT trainer up in OEM first, and then she will drop off and she will connect, or he will connect with her. She'll drop off some pamphlets. So my recommendation is, if we want to move forward, that we bring this back to the township committee on the 21st, and we get authorization to reinstate the CERT program.
Thank you, Mr. DeLuca. I'm all for it. It seems, especially now that we're trying to get back into the regular way of doing things and having our activities and events coming up. I have a feeling once people are aware that we're willing to be out in the streets and doing stuff, there might be more demand for that. So our team will get used. I'm 100% behind that. I would love to take that back to the township. Chief Sally, do you have any feelings about this in one way or another?
I think it's a good idea. We worked with CERT in the past. We have a sergeant ready to go for the program, and it will assist us in these large events that we have: 4th of July, Maple, all the festivals we have, Maple Woodstock, and so on.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll put it on the agenda for the township committee, and then reach out to the sergeant and have him reach out to the OEM sergeant.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right.
And on the other item, the emergency operations plan, we had a meeting yesterday. Yeah, yesterday morning, over at police headquarters in the chief's conference room, which is also our emergency operations center. And we had all the department heads, or just about all the department heads there, and they're all taking responsibility to write up their chapter, their section, which is called an annex. And it really covers everything from sheltering to medical care to terrorism to radiology and all kinds of things. So we are due to submit that to the county on May 1st. And then that gets reviewed by the county and then gets submitted to the state police on June 1st. So we had a good kickoff. People are serious about doing their work. And so we're well on our way. And then this plan will be our guide for the next 4 years for purposes of emergencies.
Awesome. And so it'll be kept on file, and we'll be using this the whole time. And
Yes.
Hopefully we'll be given a little bit more notice from them, so we won't find ourselves scrambling again in 4 years. Thank you. Thank you, Commander DeLuca. Does anyone have any questions in regards to either of these items?
I do. Hi, everybody. I'm Alexis Carteron for the Community Board on Police. I just missed the acronym for the first one. Was it CERT?
I'm sorry.
I know the concept, but just not what it stands for.
Yeah, it's the Civilian Emergency Response Team.
Okay, great.
CERT.
Got it. Thank you.
And these are civilians. They're not, they're not empowered in any way to do any police work. They're just there to assist emergency people.
Awesome. All right. So let's move forward with the Sassafish Fire Department report. Chief Alvarez is not here, but
yeah, I don't think he's going to ever come.
Okay.
So I can do the report as the representative. So in the month of January, the South Essex Fire Department responded to 348 calls. Of those, by far, 126 were for EMS. So we continue to provide services in Maplewood for EMS. Fires are actually pretty low. We had 3 building fires and 9 cooking fires, but obviously very important to have the fire department because you don't want a fire to get big. So, our plan was for the South Essex Fire Department to continue to provide EMS service in Maplewood, and that is happening. And that's about average to what it was before COVID. the 125 a month. The other thing is that our table of organization is at 73. I'm sorry, our table of organization is at 71. We're currently at 73, and the plan here is to get to 71 by attrition. So we didn't want to lay anybody off by the merger, but we are getting there close to that number we're looking for. So the idea was to remove the second layer of management. We still have the same amount of firefighters actually on the different tours. That's 68, but we've reduced the level of managers because we don't need to have duplicate managers on these tours any longer. And that's about it.
All right. What are the, would you mind, do you know what the 2 additional hires would be? Would they be additional firefighters? Would they be?
No, we have 2 extra firefighters right now. So
Okay,
when we have some retirements, either some of those firefighters will be promoted to captain, or if they're firefighters retiring, then we'll just be at the right number.
all right. Thank you. All right. So the next item on the list, Chief Sally, our police report narrative from you.
Yes, good evening, everybody. My narrative, so we're continuing our high visibility details in areas where we are seeing a lot of activity. For example, the Wawas. So we do have additional officers in those areas. Also, we've started walking posts in certain areas, business districts. Our officers are out there handing out educational materials and showing a presence in those areas. Our overnight, midnight patrols have been proactive in lighting surveys. So they're starting in different sections of town. Once they complete, we're trying to get most of the whole town. You know, if there is a complaint about dim light or no lighting, we take that in, but also we're proactively looking for areas that could use more lighting. And once we have that report, we'll transfer that to engineering department, who will contact PSE&G. Our NICSO alerts have been coming out regularly on criminal activity, road closures. You even see them for recycling. So we've been pretty good with getting that information out. The scanner is up and running. It sounds nice and clear. So we moved it a couple of weeks ago. Since the move, it's been working pretty good. Our traffic unit is actively out there responding to requests of traffic safety issues such as speeding. Also our 4-way stop signs. We've been doing multiple details in those areas. So we've been in locations such as Burnett and Rutgers, Prospect and Harvard, and Rutgers and Newark Way. So we've been very proactive with those. So I'm gonna skip ahead because I will get to the December report. But in January, we had 1 robbery. So that's 1 robbery compared to last year where we had 4 robberies. So we had 1 this year, we had 4 last year. The 1 robbery was the one on Jacoby Street, close to the Wawas. And the total number of robberies we've had since December is only 1. We had 0 in December. So we had the 1 in January. And so up to date, this year we have 1. In the month of January, we have 0 burglaries. We had 0 burglaries in January. We had 1 recently though in February on Hoffman Street, where so it's related to other towns that we believe. So we believe that these people who committed this burglary committed a burglary in Milburn earlier that evening. came into Maplewood, committed this burglary, where they attempted to enter a vehicle or vehicles. The vehicles were locked, so they continued and attempted to open the door to the home. The door was unlocked. They went to the kitchen, took the keys, went back to the cars and stole 2 cars. This burglary is not isolated. This type of burglary has been happening in other towns. So Milburn, Livingston, Union has similar type burglaries where they go and they're all unsecured homes. So they try the door. If the door is unlocked, they will go in. They will go to the kitchen because that's where people usually leave their keys, take the keys and leave. These burglaries have been happening overnight hours, like 2 a.m, 3 a.m, when people are asleep. They do not confront the homeowner. They just get the keys, get out, and keep going. So other towns have been seeing the same type. Our detectives have been working with the other towns and with the county, and so they're investigating these burglaries. In January, we had 9 vehicles stolen, all of them unsecured. In February, we had the one recently where the vehicle was left running. The owner went into the house to pick up something, and the child was in the back seat. The person attempted to enter the vehicle. The owner came out and yelled out at the person, said, "My child's in the back seat." The person ran right back into the car they were in and took off. They didn't take the car. So we believe they were just, they saw the car running. They were attempting to steal the car, not knowing that there was a child in the back. And once they realized that, they took off. So that car was, it was an attempt. So that vehicle was not taken. Last night, we had a basketball game at Columbia High School where when the game was over, we had large crowds there. Maplewood versus Irvington. Irvington being close to us, so it was a big size crowd there. When they exited the school, a few fights broke out. Our officers were there quickly. We asked for a mutual aid. We were able to de-escalate it and disperse the crowd. And there was two students that complained of minor injuries. Their parents were on scene. EMS checked them out, and they didn't want any further medical attention at that time. We did have one child, one juvenile that we brought in to notify the parents. So we brought him in, and we got in contact with the parents, and he was released to the parents. So that was Columbia High School. So that's my narrative for going forward into January. Now I'm going to go back to December in our monthly report. So I will start with our overtime, our budget overtime comparison. So this is for the year of December, for the whole year of 2022. We had a decrease in overtime for our dispatchers, also for our officers. So it was a decrease. The decrease for officers was $5,095. That was a decrease in overtime. Our salaries and wages did go up due to contract, and that's the budget. Anybody any questions on what I went over a lot of things there. Anybody any questions on that stuff?
I'm trying to pull up the doc so people who are watching can
Okay.
actually see the visuals.
We can make those available afterward. Assistant
Yeah, because I downloaded them. For some reason, they won't open.
Assistant
I-
Administrator
zip file.
will make them available as part of our minutes.
Thank you. So, Chief Sally, I had a quick question. I had some emails that were sent to me from people who actually had students that were on the basketball team and went to pick their kids up and saw the the hootenanny and stuff. Is there a conversation going to be happening between the schools, athletic departments possibly, or even their counseling departments in regards to just what possibly was the kicker of this whole instance, and maybe how we can address problems before they become problems? I don't
Yes.
know if there were.
Yes, we're supposed to have a debriefing tomorrow with school security and school administration. So we'll have that debriefing tomorrow and we'll discuss further, with these type of instances. We did have an officer that was working there. He saw the large crowd. He did call dispatch when the crowd was letting out. This is before the fight, in anticipation of a large crowd coming out. So that's what helped us get there faster, and help de-escalate the situation. But we will have a debriefing tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Did anyone else have any questions for Chief Sally? No. Thank you very much for your report, and thank you so much for staying on top of things, in particular the incidents. I'm wondering, I know that you have had materials and I've seen them hanging in the store windows of Wawa and the 7-Eleven I patronize a lot. I'm wondering if there's something we can do possibly even bigger in town, because I still see, and I know you see it too, it's not like I'm telling you something new. Far too many people still practicing that habit of letting their cars run while they just quickly go inside and get something.
Right.
Is there something additional we can do? Is there a bigger flyer or a sign or something? I know that, for example, Health Officer Davenport had the banners that she put on the park fences to encourage people to remember to do this stuff. Is there something more we can do to encourage this from happening? Because this is a conversation we have every month and have had every month for now going on another year, and it hasn't gotten any better. People are still doing this.
Right. So I kind of fast forwarded. I went to the January numbers, but in our December numbers, our auto theft in December went down. So as far as auto theft in 2021 in December, it was 11. In 2022, it was 3. So hopefully people are getting the word, take your keys with you, turn your car off, even if you're getting air in your tire real quick, or running into the store. Our walking posts are helping out. We do hand out flyers and speak to people. On one of our walking posts, we had our officers walking in front of the Wawa, and a patron came and the car was running, and she jumped out the car and was walking towards the door, and the officer told her, "Hey, you might need to turn your car off." And she went back and turned her car off. So we kind of intercepted that, that kind of thing. But we can do more public service announcements and I don't know, flyers, and any suggestions anybody has, we can use to assist us with that. Also, our December numbers are pretty good. Thefts went down. We had 32 thefts in 2021 in December, and we had 22 in this December, 2022. Robbery again in 2021 in December we had 1, and December in 2022 we have 0. So I believe what we're doing is working as far as our details and our extra officers out there, and our walking posts and traffic, and good so far. Good signs with our numbers, but again, it takes time, and we'll critique it to where we need to be. Right now, we're these burglaries I was talking about. We might shift a little bit, to see what's going on with these burglaries that are going on in different towns, and in our town too.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any further questions for Chief Sally? All right, let's keep it moving. Pedestrian safety. I know this is something you've been working heavily on Chief Sally, and with conversations happening with Soma-Two Towns coordinators, with engineering and public works, there are a few spaces that have been identified within certain communities and populations in the township, in particular our students who are walking now to and from school, our longer distances, and our senior population. So the first one they brought up was the intersection at Springfield and Broadview. There's a flashing light that cross, but drivers don't pay attention to it. There have been multiple incidents, and actually, I don't have it with me here, but there was a short video that was sent to me from someone who actually watched a bunch of kids step to the curb with the light and the lines for the crosswalk, and saw and videotaped many cars, not just one, just blowing through as if they weren't standing there, with the flashing light going. And I'm wondering if there's some.
That's true.
I think I've been muted this whole time.
No, I heard you.
You did? Okay. I was like, wait a minute, this thing is muted.
No, we heard you. We heard you.
They're having problems with trying to get people to slow down and stop. And it's not like we want to have a police officer on every corner, because that doesn't set a precedent and it doesn't really help. And you guys are stretched thin as it is. But is there something more we can do so that we don't have to worry about the potential of the child being hit for simply trying to get to school?
Right.
Or
So,
probably after.
right. So like we've been doing with the details with the 4-way stop signs, we can do pedestrian safety details as well. I read the agenda and I actually already gave it to my traffic unit. So that's their next task. And I saw the intersections you were talking about. So we'll start doing details at those locations.
And we talk a lot about this at Engineering Public Works. So what we're doing is we have on the schedule to repave and do some other work, road work on the entire length of Springfield Avenue. And it will include replacing those what I think now are fairly ineffective, those signs with the blinking lights around, with a sign that has a large flashing beacon. And it's a much more pronounced design than what we have right now. Right now, it's a little hard to see those lights. So, but I will absolutely agree, because I had it happen to me yesterday. You hit those lights, they blink, and no one stops. It's very frustrating. I was over by trying to cross by Burger King. And it was the same thing. So I understand exactly what those students are going through. But eventually, I think it's probably because it's such an enormous, I think it's $2 million to do the whole road.
Yeah.
It'll probably have to be done in a minimum of 2, maybe even 3 years to do the whole avenue.
I wonder if it's possible, or even a discussion we should have in regards to turning those crossing areas, in particular the ones that are heavily used by students during commute and to school, into school zones, to where the speed goes down from 35 to 15 or 20, where they have to go slower. I don't want to discourage people from coming to Maplewood, because Springfield Avenue is one of our economic corridors and we want people to come. But if they're zipping through it, trying to get to 78, Parkway, whatever, our children are being put at risk for a 5-minute rerouting that could go to another street that isn't so heavily walked by our kids. Just spitballing, but I wonder if that is something that could be considered. In particular, since it's a county road.
No, it's our jurisdiction.
It's
a state
ours?
highway
So we
under
can
our
do it.
jurisdiction. So we have the right to set the speed limit. I think in that instance, what we would need is we would need our traffic people to assess a change in the speed limit and how that might affect the traffic on that street. Because what would happen is if you create these bottlenecks on Springfield, they'll start using the back roads.
Right, and there's even more children walking in those
Yeah, and
areas.
it's also, it's a residential area. So it's certainly worth having a conversation with our engineer and having, as we're doing this, to think about, are there other ways that we can slow the traffic? One other thing that we will be doing is right now, when we did Springfield Avenue, we did, it's painted asphalt.
Mhm.
It's those crosswalks. What happened is they dull and people don't know what they are. So you can't pick them up easily. There's the contrast between the road and that because it gets dirty. So we're not going to use those anymore. We're going to create the standard crosswalks with the bars that go, the white bars that go across.
All the way across.
Yeah, so that will also, they think it'll enhance the safety because the drivers will see the clear delineation between the roadway and the crosswalk, which we don't have now.
Very good. And could we also consider the ones that have the beacon, the sound? A few of the seniors and a couple of the friends I have that have kids that are hard of hearing would appreciate the beacon, the sound, so they know how much time they have to cross the street.
Yep.
Great. Well, I'm glad that this has been looking at by the engineering department. It's on your hit list, Chief Sally, so thank you. Lighting conditions for the bus riding students. Between the school districts and their communications to families, there hasn't really been a whole lot given in regards to a change possibly in location of bus stops to better lit areas. Right now, in particular, I'm just off the top of my head, I know of 2 spots in our neighborhood. If it wasn't for the help of the family who lives across the street from the bus stop, leaving their porch and garage light on, that would be a black hole every morning at 6:30, 7 o'clock when their kids are trying to get on the bus during the winter months. During the summer, it's not so bad. During the spring, it's not so bad. But during those time periods, it's super dark. And I know that those have been identified as areas that need additional lighting. The school year is ongoing, and PSE&G is given a bit of a timeline. But is there any way of expediting this? Because there are families that are scared of sending their kids out basically in the dark to walk to the bus stop.
So the police department did we're trying to do a survey for the whole town, but we did do the Harbor section, the Hilton section, the Lightning Brook section, and we're working our way over to the college section. These guys did a pretty detailed report, and they highlighted lights that are not there that need to be there, and the ones that are there that are not working. And so we're going to give that to Paul Kittner, and Paul Kittner has a contact with PSE&G. So hopefully they can the police doesn't have direct contact with PSE&G. So we'll give it to engineering, and hopefully they can expedite that.
And Chief, when you do,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Chief, when you do that, just please identify that this is for school bus stops, and hopefully that'll help get it higher on the priority list for PSE&G.
Got you. Yep.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there any other questions or any other concerns in regards to pedestrian safety? I'm pretty sure we'll probably hear some in public comment, but I just wanted to make sure.
So I just want to brief you about one other thing we decided today. We've been trying to figure out how to make the area around Walgreens in the back there safer, Burnett and Tuscan Road. And we stopped the no left turns there. And so what we're having some difficulty because it's such a narrow intersection. So we're having some difficulty on the turn radius. So we're going to change that intersection from right now it's a 1 lane going south towards Union, and then it's 2 lanes at Springfield as you approach this police station. One is a left turn lane, one is a right turn lane. Each of those lanes are fairly narrow. So what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate the second lane on that approach to Springfield. So there'll be 1 lane, it'll be a 20-foot lane on the right, and 1 lane, a 20-foot lane on the left. And that will help with the turning so that we don't have trucks going up on the curb. We don't have any of that. So we're going to move forward with that, and that will help improve that intersection that crosses Springfield Avenue in front of the police station, where we have a police officer crossing people. And it will also help the crosswalk that's behind Tuscan Road, behind Walgreens there.
Okay. Thank you for that update, Raymond DeLuca. The parking ordinance for the teachers. I had one TAP counselor reach out to me from the middle school, Maplewood Middle, who's extremely grateful for not having to hustle as hard for parking as she used to. So thank you very much to all the people in this committee, particularly in your staff, Chief Sally, regarding the signage and letting folks know where to park. I don't really see the library construction magically going any faster. So this is going to be a problem that's going to extend into next school year. And I think we should consider, at least start discussing an ordinance to set aside that particular strip of parking that we pull along the school as parking for the school, for teachers and staff. I didn't know if anyone had any feedback or any questions regarding that, or if this is something we can add to the agenda to discuss on the 21st as well.
Well, I'm not sure if I misheard when this came up at the TC meeting, but I thought that was the intention all along to make this permanent. Did I mishear that?
You did not.
Good.
Okay.
Good to clarify it. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that we were kind of on the same page. So great. If
Yep,
that is
no,
happening,
we'll
then
get
yes.
working on the ordinance to make it a legal permanent change. Because as of right now, it's unfortunately unenforceable without that ordinance, although, people see the sign and hopefully they're adhering to it anyways.
They are. They seem to be doing quite fine with it. The teachers are very happy, and the counselors as well. All right. Our next item is the 24-hour business ordinance. I know a lot of conversations were happening during our emails and back and forth texts and stuff in regards to what we're looking at to help with some of the concerns our residents have about businesses that are open 24 hours, as well as the businesses themselves concerned about safety. And so what, I guess my question is, what are our next steps? Are we looking to change the ordinance? Are we looking to collect more data to inform that change if it's going to happen? Or are we going to have conversations with the businesses? And I think Mayor Daffis, you were kind of having a lot more conversations with particularly the Wawa and their regional people than I was.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you have anything to share?
Yeah, I can report back on the Wawa committee member DeLuca and I just met with them last night again. So we've established a great working relationship with someone that we can rely on as a steady, higher level up supervisor contact with influence within the executive board, okay? Not just a local manager, as it were. Although the local managers have also been very terrific. Everyone understands the problem and they want to find a solution. They don't want the residents to be upset. They're there to serve the residents. And many of our residents patronize the Wawa, especially those who are on midnight shifts and work late and so on and so forth, right? So, and they certainly do not want to jeopardize the safety of their employees. So they have said to us recently, since we've been engaging with them, as we promised that we would, that they are considering the closure during the overnight hours, meaning from 11 a.m. to 5 a.m., 11 p.m. to 5 a.m., excuse me. However, before they go to that, which is the last resort, they try to see if there are other mitigation that they can take that could help provide some relief. What does that look like? Well, as it pertains to the Wawa, they are considering beefing up their security, which they recognize is subpar, right? In light of all the issues that they have to deal with, especially after they were better informed about all the issues, all the calls that we get to PD and EMS. In the last year, over 2,500 calls, they were pretty astounded themselves, and they're used to this kind of information in other communities that they operate. So they are engaging with Maplewood PD about hiring Maplewood PD off duty during those hours, which they think could help in terms of having that presence outside and around the perimeter where we have some of the issues and inside the store as well. They and Maplewood PD are engaging on what that looks like and what that's going to cost. It's not going to be cheap for them to do this. The other thing is that has been immediately put into place are some smaller wins, if you will. For instance, they now lock the back door from 10 p.m. onward until 6 a.m. That makes it only one way in of the store and one way out of the store. It alleviates the need for people to congregate in the back, to come in from the back, also possibly cuts down on shoplifting incidents. One way in, one way out, the same way out. The other thing that we had suggested, and committee member DeLuca was particularly smart about this, is closing off the entrances, the driveway entrances off of Springfield Avenue, meaning where? Off of Chancellor and 44th Street. Those are other access points back there. Maplewood PD engaged immediately on this since our last Public Safety Committee meeting. In fact, 2 days later, we delivered them cones to effectuate this so that there were no delays in their getting their own cones. And they have put that into place and it is working. Although when we met with them there last night, Mr. DeLuca and I, they did tell us that it was creating other unintended consequences, such as backed up cars, parking, along the gas lines, creating traffic jams and other issues, which do what? Affect our residents, noise, lights, idling cars, blah, 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 blah. Because the way things have been blocked off in the back there really takes away a significant amount of their parking. On the one hand, it mitigates the issues of the people who used to, the issues that we have along the fence of the private properties, their backyards, where people would linger back there and do all kinds of things and idle and cause a lot of concerns for our residents. But now it's creating backups on the front end of the store to some of the other residents that abut that side of the store. So we continue looking at how we could better configure that closure back there to maybe open up a little bit more parking, but to still continue to block off the area that directly abuts along the fence, meaning that abuts people's backyards. So we're going to see how these measures do. Do they reduce the calls? Do they reduce the noise and the idling and some of the other common concerns that we have from our residents? Do they mitigate some of the serious concerns, such as crime, beyond public nuisance and quality of life, healthcare issues, health and wellness? And, we're going to look at this. We're going to keep monitoring. We're going to keep talking to them, especially now that we have an open line of communication with someone with some credibility and someone who is seemingly speaking with us and engaging with us in good faith.
Thank you.
Mr. DeLuca, I welcome your input if I left anything out.
No, I think you covered it all.
All right. Well, that's good to hear because I know that it is a concern for a lot of folks in that area, and nobody wants to take business away from a business that is being utilized by that community. I mean, my husband was at the Wawa like 25 minutes ago. So it's something that is utilized by this area and by everybody, people passing through, whatever. And we love the business. We love to see people succeed. So thank you for following up with their regional person. I hope the conversations are ongoing and we find a solution to this that's enough to make everybody a little happier than they are right now. and take the burden off of our PD.
Chief, can I ask the chief, Chief, the 24-hour stores that we have now, Wawa, the 7-Eleven on Irvington, the diner, Maplewood Diner.
Yes.
I know the Phillips 66, they changed to 20 hours. They close at 1 a.m. and then open at 5. Do you know of any other businesses that are open 24? I don't think Quick Check is anymore 24, right?
I believe Quick Check is 24.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Chief, we should look into that about Quick Check. I don't think that's true anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if they
They
are.
close now.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Maplewood Diner also closes at 2 a.m., I believe.
Do
I
they?
don't,
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think, yeah, because I was there late one night.
Oh,
and-
you want to tell us about that?
Oh, God. And I was talking to the owners, and good opportunity to speak in Greek sometimes, you know, that
Yeah.
doesn't come often. And they said that, yeah, it wasn't worth it for them to deal with some of the issues past that time. So I'm pretty sure they close it too, but let's confirm that.
So
Right.
just so everyone's aware of what the changes were for Wawa. In 2015, when we were negotiating with Wawa, we had an ordinance that said all gas stations in town had to close from 11 p.m. to, I think it was 6 a.m. or I think it was 6. So we changed the gas station hours for Wawa and for Phillips 66 because they're in a separate zone. They're in the highway business zone. The rest of Springfield Avenue or any other place, they would not be able to stay open. We never had an ordinance on the books about closing retail. Retail was always allowed to be open 24 hours. And so the only thing we did change was the sale of gas. But clearly Wawa would not have come without being able to open 24 hours. But in our conversation last night, we asked them if there have been places that have scaled back their hours, and they did tell us yes. And there have been places where they have opened and they have not been open 24 hours. So I think, as the mayor said, that isn't their first choice, but we were very clear about that may be where we have to land at some point. And Chief, are you aware of any application from them as far as a paid job?
No, they haven't contacted me, but I spoke to the PBA and SOA about that possibility. They kind of feel that they can't. It depends on what how many officers they need. They don't feel like we would be able to fill it.
Okay, because they were looking for one overnight.
Okay, one overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
with a car.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
All right.
So,
It might
and
be-
they did say that they were dealing with Officer Lewin.
Yeah, Byron. Yeah.
Okay. So, but nothing during the day or the evening, right? Just overnight.
Just overnight.
All right.
I think they mentioned 11 to 5,
That's right.
right?
Okay.
Yeah. And what we said to them is they should sit down with you all because we weren't sure how the shifts exactly break. And, you know, either before a shift or after a shift, you might pick up a paid worker.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll probably be like more like 12 o'clock
Yeah, that's what I
at
thought.
night. Yeah.
And you were saying they wanted it with a
That's what they're
car?
looking. I'm sorry.
You're saying they wanted it with a car?
Well, oftentimes when we have paid jobs on the road, like construction projects, they get a car, they rent a car with it. I mean, they pay for a car. So we weren't sure how this works because it's an inside job. That didn't sound right? But it's because it's an interior job, whether they would also have a car.
Right.
It might be beneficial to have a car there too.
Yeah,
Right.
we suggested a car
visibility.
outside. Yeah, for deterrence.
Right.
Yeah.
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 'Cause I
the
think it's
car-
$12 an hour for the car, $15 an hour for the car.
Right. So you have the car and the officer. You have the car in the parking lot, and you have the officer inside,
Right.
outside type
Right.
thing. Yep.
Back and
Yeah, that's
forth.
what they're looking at.
Yep.
And remember, they have to give us a security plan. So this is part of their security plan, along with what the mayor was talking about as far as the limited parking along the perimeter where the homes are.
Yeah, when I first heard about off-duty officer or paid officer, I thought it was they wanted somebody there 24/7. But
No,
this is a lot better. So this might work.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have an idea about when they're gonna submit, or at least kind of hint that they're putting it together?
I
The
think they
plan?
were waiting from Officer Lewin because the rates have changed, Chief, is that correct? At first of
Yeah.
the year?
Yes.
So I think they were waiting for the new rates or something. So maybe that you could help expedite that.
The rates have not yet changed, but that you'll be getting that on the an agenda very soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we know what they're going to be, right?
Yes, it's correct me if I'm wrong, Chief. It's the top step or senior patrol officer.
Yeah. Senior patrol officer's overtime rate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's probably close to like 105 or so,
No.
less,
Yeah, less. Even with
or maybe
It's like-
that's with the car.
I think with the admin fee and everything, it's probably like 98.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm probably thinking of adding the car on top.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So it's going to be, that's what we said. It's going to be like for, if you're 6 or 7, 8 hours, going to be 600 to 800 a day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could we get that information over to them, knowing what the new rate is gonna be and not wait for it to be official?
Yeah, I have the number. I have the chart and everything, the breakdown. I can get it to them.
Okay, so
I
it's
mean, your husband's going to have to spend some more on those tasty cakes. to cover
That
their
is what it
costs.
is. He's gonna have to go to Costco and just buy the big one instead of waiting.
no Costco, support loco.
Stay local.
He'll be fine. He'll be frowny, but he'll be fine. All right. Okay, so everyone's kind of got their tasks. I'd like to open up this moment right now for public comments. If there, I guess, Bailey, if you could take it away.
Yeah, of course. So we've reached the public comment section of the meeting. If there are any attendees interested in speaking, please use the raise your hand function and you'll be converted over to a panelist and given 3 minutes to speak. Okay, first up, we have Julia Flath.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can. Thank you. Oh, but you just muted yourself.
Okay, great. So I'm a South Orange resident, and I've spoken to Jermaine and a couple members of the police about this over email, but we have a new committee in South Orange called Walk, Bike, Ride South Orange that is essentially pedestrian, bicycling, and public transit advocacy committee. And one of our first initiatives is that we're planning a Crossing Guard Appreciation Week in February 21st to 24th. And we've invited Maplewood to join in this. So what we've planned so far is we're working on a flyer and to disseminate over social media, town emails, PTA emails. I've been in touch with all the school PTAs to encourage the public to go out sometime that week and thank their local crossing guard with a card, a hot drink, a treat, saying thank you, whatever they want to do. And then within South Orange, Jespy House got a grant and they are paying for most of the South Orange crossing guards to get a $5 Dunkin' gift card that we'll be giving out to them. So there's, the idea was raised of whether Maplewood wants to do something similar. And some of the school PTAs are interested to know what, how Maplewood's planning to participate, because otherwise they might want to pay for some gift cards. So I think that about, I'll be circulating the flyer soon, and we are planning on adding the Maplewood logo to it and including Maplewood in the blurb about it. So we'd love to hear your comments and questions.
Detective Sergeant Reeves and Sergeant DeCecchia has already reached out to us and given us the numbers. We just didn't know if there was any funding possibly available in the police department line for these gift cards, or if this is something that we could possibly pull from the township in appreciation for the work of these 29 crossing guards and 3 parking enforcement officers that we have. So our number would be 32. We'd be looking to recognize.
And we recognize would be a $5 gift card from Dunkin' Donuts?
Pretty much, or from if we wanted to do another local business, or even divvy it up where we get a couple from Dunkin', from the Starbucks. I mean, might as well spread the
So
joy.
this is $160,
About that.
32, you said?
Mhm.
I think we could probably find that in the police budget.
Yeah.
Don't you think so, chief?
I don't think things are that bad. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to assume. I don't want to snatch people's money away. They could have their gift cards already there.
You said Sergeant Reeves, Reeves was looped into this? He knows about
He's
it?
already looped in, and he
Okay.
contacted Officer Sergeant Cecchio. Am I saying that right? DeCiccio?
The secret-
He
Seco.
DeCicco. I'm awful with names. Thank you,
Yeah.
DeCicco. Sorry, Vince. To give us the numbers. So yeah, it would be
Okay.
29 crossing guards and 3 PEOs.
All right, yep. Sounds good.
All right, great.
Julia, thank you for coming and suggesting this. I had no idea this was going on. If you send us flyers, we will definitely, I'll definitely post this all over social media and engage with our businesses as well to sponsor some of this stuff and to do additional beyond the minimum that you just suggested. And certainly to get our residents to do it too. You know, our residents are always asking for more crossing guards and complaining about the crossing guards. So come on out there, buy them a bagel or something, bring it. All
Yeah, that
right.
would be great to, give them encouragement in the middle of the winter. And this is the first time we're doing it, so hopefully we can do it again next year and plan it more ahead of time and with, a little more going on.
Agreed.
you.
Thank you for that. That's awesome.
Thank you so much, Julia. All right, Ms. Barnett, is there anyone else?
I see no other hands.
All right, well, we don't have any more minutes left, Julia, but if you're welcome to stay or or you can take off. I'll be reaching out to you later on in
Great.
regards to that. So if there are no other questions or things to report, I'd like to call this meeting adjourned. Can we have a motion for that?
Second,
All right,
I move it. Or if you
Move it.
I'll second it.
I will second it. Great. And so we'll meet again next month on the 7th. I'm sorry, the 8th. March 8th will be our next meeting again. Same bat channel. Although, will we be in person for our committees as well? Should we be looking to do that?
We haven't set that policy for the committees. We're leaving it up to how comfortable our residents are, our respective chairs, volunteer chairs of each of those committees. Some of them have been coming back in person, and we leave it up to them and to our governing body liaison.
All right. So I will reach out to you all independently, see how everyone feels, and we'll make that call. All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here. I hope that you got information that you need to take back to your various constituencies and the task list that you have. Thank you, Bailey, for taking minutes, and we will see you all next month. Well, sooner than
Before
that,
we
but-
adjourn, can I say something? I think it's really
Sure.
important. Some people may find this gross, but it's really honest and sincere when I say this, and true. Because of my position currently, I get to interact with other elected officials across the state. And I've even, compared notes with other mayors and how they conduct their public safety committee meetings. I know we have room for improvement. I know everything is not perfect, but not many other towns, including our towns very, 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 very close to us, do what we do. This level of transparency, this level of engagement, this level of interaction with the public about public safety. I'm not saying that we deserve special credit. It's absolutely what we should be doing.
Should be doing, yeah.
And I'm proud of us, but I do want to acknowledge that we do it, especially as we have our public safety officials here and our admin who take, extra time after a full long day to do these things and to disseminate this information. So kudos to us and to our community who keep us on par with everything that we need to do. On flick, on spec, whatever the current term is, I don't know.
I
right.
am nerdy. I'm sorry, I'm 52. I'm nerdy. I don't have an idea. My daughter won't let me use emojis because she says I use them wrong. So,
All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
good night.
Good night.
Good night.